Hello there, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Maul would search the desert planet of Tatooine for the one purpose he thought he had after being casted aside by Palpatine, to kill Obi Wan Kenobi. He would eventually find the old man sitting by a campfire, and Maul knew this would be the perfect time to strike. Obi-Wan would get up since he would sense the presence of Maul and would call out his name and ask him to bring himself into the light. Maul would do so, and Kenobi would be sympathetic with his words. The fact that Maul has had such a troubled life gave him the words to say sorry for everything that's happened. Maul would be confused but would still lean on his hatred for Kenobi. The two would talk, and Obi-Wan would give his point of view on Maul's current situation, and he could either join Kenobi or his fate would be sealed forever. Maul would think about this more, and he would eventually think more of who truly betrayed him and neglected him throughout his whole life. Maul would take out his lightsaber and ignite the blades, and he would stare at Kenobi and use the Force to guide his actions. After some time, Maul would drop his lightsaber and apologize for the hate he has carried towards Kenobi for so many years. Obi-Wan would forgive him and try to comfort him, as Maul was on the verge of tears. They would both sit by the campfire, and Maul would ask questions as to why Kenobi decided to spend the rest of his days on the desert planet of Tatooine. Kenobi wouldn't really answer Maul, and he would start guessing. He would mention about having a purpose here and to protect something or someone. After that, Kenobi would look at Maul and say he believes he is protecting the Chosen One from any and all threats. Maul would understand this and offer to help protect the child, but Kenobi would refuse for the time being, since he still had a feeling that Maul carried a lot of hate towards someone and didn't want to get in the way of protecting Luke Skywalker. After that night, Maul would collect food from the market and deliver it to Kenobi so they would both eat, and over time, Kenobi would learn to properly trust Darth Maul and teach him in the ways of the light side of the Force. I don't think Maul would become a Jedi, but I think he would be very similar to a Grey Jedi. He would use both the light and the dark side, but in his recent lessons he would begin to build more and more of his patience that would help him focus and connect more with the Force, which would also not have really progressed much more as he was a Sith. Now, in the timeline, it would roughly be about the start of A New Hope, and the movie would proceed as it would until Luke is given his father's lightsaber. This would be when Maul would walk into the hut and say hello to Luke. The young farmer would ask who Maul is, and Kenobi would say that they are old friends and that their history is very complicated, which Maul would laugh at, considering what they went through during the Clone Wars. The movie would proceed as normal, but Maul would be in the background with Kenobi. Luke, Han, and Chewbacca would board the Death Star. Obi-Wan would fight Vader and die the same way as he did in the movie. Maul would be with Luke, protecting him the whole way until he sees Kenobi's death. Maul would be very angry about this, and he would order Luke to leave him and get to safety on Yavin 4. Luke would be hesitant, but in the end would leave Maul on the Death Star. The former Sith would run over to Vader and confront him. Maul would sense something about Vader which he hadn't felt since the Clone Wars. Vader and Maul would enter a duel which would be fairly intense, but Maul's frail old body wouldn't be able to keep up with Vader and his power within the Force, and in the end Maul would die at the hands of Darth Vader. Thank you all for watching the video. If you want to see a stop motion version of this, then let me know down in the comments below. If you want to share some what if ideas, then there's a chance it may be turned into a video idea. Anyway, with all that out of the way, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button and subscribing, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And one last thing, may the Force be with you.